This is the Human AI Experience, a space for creative minds shaping the future, empowering you with the right tools, insights, and real-world stories to harness AI and elevate your creative work.
On today's show, we're going to dive into a short film called Ancestra, created by director Eliza McNitt and produced by Darren Aronofsky, using his new studio Primordial Soup in collaboration with Google DeepMind. This project blends traditional filmmaking with cutting-edge AI tools like Veo and Imagen, and it's not just a technical feature. It also tells a deeply personal story about love, life, and technology. I'm Daniel,
I'm Matheus.
and this is the Human AI Experience.
So, Daniel, what is Ancestra?
So Ancestra is a short film that premiered at the 2025 Tribeca Festival, I think is in New York. And it's the first film from Primordial Soup, which is the new production studio by Darren Aronofsky, the director behind Mother, Requiem for a Dream. Like, his films are very uses a lot of sound design, and they're very philosophical as well. I'm a big fan of Aronofsky as a director. So
Yeah, like his work too. It's amazing.
yeah, so basically he now has his own production company, and then Google approached him to do a series of films using, of course, AI tools, right? So the film is directed by Eliza McNitt, and it tries to explore the mother's cosmic journey to save her daughter. So it's basically a metaphor for her own real-life birth story, where when she was born, they figured it out that she had a hole in her heart. So the film is it's quite cool. I watched it, and basically I think the what makes the film a bit different is that they decided to, or it was a co-production using actors and a production set of people with using AI tools simultaneously, and then so they had to kind of choose where they are going to use some of the AI tools and where they're going to use practical effects or visual effects or 3D renders. And so that was basically them looking into this technology, exploring its boundaries, and then trying to come up with something that it's a mix of both.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really deep story. I felt like it was super intriguing. I love the special effects. This spinning a lot of stuff. Because there was a lot of reflection behind what's happening with the girl. So it is interesting. I really like the movie, and I didn't knew that they had like real actors, like a combination between actors and AI. So it makes a lot of sense. It might be the future, and I hope that that's gonna be the future, a combination of both, not only using one tool or another. So
Yeah, me too. I think this is a good example of how you can use this technology when it's meant to be used. Like, for just to give an example, sometimes you have to choose between shooting a scene with visual effects or with practical effects that capture on camera, right? In cinema. So I guess it's gonna be the same with AI. Some shots it would make sense to do it in AI because it's easier, the production cost is less, but some others, you know, it makes more sense to record with actors or to do it practically, right?
yeah,
Because it just feels more authentic, or
natural.
it maybe
Mm.
it tells a different story, right? If you And one of the things that they mention in the making of, because I watched the film and then I watched the making of, where they discuss the production. They're basically in a round table where they have, of course, the producer Darren Aronofsky, the director, and the the Google Veo team, and then they're debating, the boundaries and the constraints of the technology, and um, and then making choices of what they're going to use, when, and why. But I guess what for me, the reason we're bringing this episode, this film to discuss, is because I think it takes a different approach, because we've seen a lot of things, a lot of commercials that are 100% AI generated, and they do look
Yeah.
very CGI as well, right? And sometimes very exaggerated on the uh, performance. Like the digital actors are basically looking over
They
exaggerated in their
overreact.
emotions. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
They overreact. They overact. So
Yeah.
you see the eyes. Their expressions are too much for, so it look like a Mexican telenovela, and all this kind of super deep interpretations. So I do agree with you. Like and this one is super like balanced. Like it's a really good movie. Like how they balance and all the emotions, and it is a movie full of emotion. So it's telling you a really deep story, as it was mentioned before. So it makes you feel agony. I don't know is the right word, but you're feeling the same feelings as the mother, like trying to save her kid, but she's kind of in a state that she cannot do anything. That's not in her hands. So it is deep.
So maybe before we continue the discussion, maybe we should. Of course, we're going to link the the video, or the basically the short film Ancestra in the show notes. But maybe we can describe for you that they are listening. So basically, it's a short film. It has 8 minutes, and it's the journey of a mother going to the hospital to do just a regular checkup on her pregnancy, and then all of a sudden they rush her into surgery because they want to do a C-section, and then she's struggling to understand what's happening. I thought this was just a routine check, and then the staff and the medical doctors and the nurses seem quite stressed, and it's because they found out that the baby has a hole in her heart, is her daughter, right? And and they need to take the baby out to see if they can save it. So I guess that's the plot, and then that the struggle and the reflections of the mother during that situation in the surgery room, and going through that journey, and then what happens in the end. I'm not gonna spoil, but and I think the director wanted to tell her story because that happened with her. She was that baby with the hole in her heart, and then that's her mom went through that situation, right? So she wanted to recreate that story, of course, with a very interesting and philosophical take. I think the probably because of Aronofsky influence, the film kind of takes it has this visual cosmic look, where you have a lot of shots of nature, and then you go in through inside the human body, and you see all these cells and fluids and things merging with waves and animals in the wild. It is like it's a mix of a lot of interesting uh, images, and those images, for example, if you're doing this kind of film, you would, before AI, let's say, you would go to an image bank, you would try to find some of the images that will kind of convey that, or some of them you go into location and you will shoot it, right? So we'll have like a camera crew, and then maybe a second-hand director or something going, a second unit director going and filming this. But now you can basically generate and guide AI to give you exactly what you want, instead of trying to film something that is in in the wild with animals that is kind of out of your control, right? So I guess that's where you can see the benefit of having AI. Everything can be a lot more controlled to depict more accurate your vision, right? As a director, a film director.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really nice. I recommend everyone to watch it because it is an experience, let's say, and then you feel what the mother is feeling, and the way that they, as I said, like, that takes from nature, from these other references, they make you reflect about how everything's connected and how is our mind connected somehow, stuff like that. So it is interesting.
Hi, if you're enjoying this episode, if this podcast has sparked something in you, made you think differently, or simply kept you company today, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts. It doesn't cost anything, but it means the world to us. Your support helps us reach more people and continue investing in content that inspires, informs, and gives it back to you. We appreciate your support. Thank you. Yeah, I think, going back now that we went through a bit of the
Hmm.
story to just contextualize it. The reason we wanted to bring this is just I think it takes a different and more sustainable approach to use of AI in filmmaking, right? Because they didn't go 100% AI generated. They used AI leveraging what the tool can do in specific moments, but they prioritize, especially because it's a heartwarming story, right? So they wanted real actors to convey that emotion. So they had real actors, they had a crew, a production crew. I remember seeing a number somewhere in the Google DeepMind's page about this film. I think they had a 200 people crew
Whoa.
between actors, extras and camera basically all the production crew from, and also visual effects people, of course.
It's interesting to see that Google is entering in this filmmaking area, because they did this movie, or they like contact Aronofsky to do that. So I have a previous episode that we talked to Lucas and Kazoo, and then they were contacted by Google too. So maybe Google is entering in this area, like movies and trying to innovate with AI. So it's an interesting move, I think, from Google, and maybe we can expect more, from this movement.
Yeah, we will definitely see more from this collaboration between Primordial Soup and Google DeepMind, because this Ancestra short film is the first one from a series of film that they are producing. So I guess we're going to see more of how they're going to explore and incorporate AI into filmmaking, right? But I just want to go through some of Darren's perspective, and also the director Elisa, uh, their perspective into how they wanted to use AI, and then what are they like thinking about this, right? So Darren Aronofsky had basically a quote that quote like film has always been technology first, sound, color, visual effects, generative video is the next step. So he's looking into this technology as the next step moving forward, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like for everything that we do, like technology is just pushing us forward. So, and I have been looking for episodes that talk about how AI is evolving, and should we fear AI, and then more and more I can say that for now I think every human being is safe in terms of of destruction. I don't know if the work of everyone is safe, but I think for now we are safe as human beings. We're not gonna be cut out by machines unless they make another. They find out something that we don't know for now. So I feel that it is a tool. So if it's a tool, we need to learn how to use it, and make, as Aronofsky is saying, like it's the next step. So that's the thing.
Yeah. So another thing that Aronofsky also mentioned about the project is that these models can create something instantaneously, right? and you can do several versions, but it means nothing without authorship. And I think this is the vision that your director or somebody with expertise in filmmaking brings to the table, right? And the AI then is execute through those lenses. And this basically taps into what the director Eliza McNitt mentioned. She was really skeptical of using AI in the beginning, right? But then when she started looking into what you could do, basically this is what she said: View is just another lens through which I imagine the universe. When I saw how the images were made, it involved language, style, and so many people. That's what excited me. So she kind of embraced the what you could do with the technology, and then they decided to move forward with the project. So it's really cool. And but maybe we should just focus a little bit on how this was made. So it, like I mentioned in the beginning, it was like a hybrid process, right? So some of the scenes were written while they were testing the visuals, because it was an experimental short film. They wanted to experiment with the technology, so they didn't know the boundaries. So they were testing what you could do, what you cannot do. And some of the things that they did, for example, is that they generated Google's team basically generated a baby, a realistic AI generated baby based on her own photos. So they took her baby photos from, I don't know, some years ago, and then they generated that baby. But they did mix up with visual effects, because it didn't felt completely natural, and then they wanted to integrate, like to film the mother holding the baby. So they couldn't do that directly with AI. It wasn't integrating very well. So they did a mix of visual effects. So they had like a mock-up of a baby. They had the baby there. And then they mixed it up. They masked the AI generated baby with the mom, and holding the baby in her arms. So it was a mix of different or traditional pre-visualization techniques from visual effects frameworks with AI that made this possible. So yeah, quite interesting to see how they are blending these different tools now, and of course lowering a lot of the cost. Right?
Did you know if they use like the to do the 3D model, if they use like any AI tool or just a scanner, or was it because they couldn't do it? You know, they needed to take the photo and then transform it into a 3D. Is not an easy transition, you know, because I imagine that she is not that young, you know, so at least she is like 20s or 30s, so it might have like old photos from this, you know, these old film photos.
I know they used a 3D model because they needed to go to. There was this shot where they would film. The camera goes in through her mind, and then it travels through her system and then reaches the baby inside her belly. So they did had to do a 3D model. Very basically, I think in film terms, it's like a pre-visualization. So it's like a very rough 3D models that simulates the human body, just to guide to be able to prompt with an existing footage, right? So they prompt the AI video using this 3D visualization. But the baby, as far as I know, they generated entirely using AI,
Ah, okay.
and they just mocked it up with they did some sort of masking or like a rotoscoping, where they inserted the baby into the mom's lap, basically. So that's how they did it.
And do they compare like the traditional VFX pipeline with this new AI pipeline, let's say?
No, I think we're just scratching the surface around that. So I guess they basically created like a VFX pipeline using AI to do this short film. Maybe we're gonna get more
Yeah.
making offs where they go through this workflow, but I think they would figure it out as they go, right? But of course, they reached all. That brings us to another topic, which is the limitations of AI. So at some point they were showcasing Veo to the producers and the director, and then they came out with one of the biggest limitations of these AI tools, which is the 8 seconds video long. So the AI cannot generate more than 8 seconds. And then Aronofsky said that this is not good. We have to we have to push the boundaries of that. I don't know if they solved that for this short film. They don't go into details, but it really mentions that this is not enough, right? It, 8 seconds is nothing. Like there are shots, there are one minute, and
Yeah,
to have that accuracy or that you cannot just Frankenstein your way with just 8 seconds at a time.
yeah,
But they did something that made it work. And if you see the short film, I think they worked around, but they don't specify how they did it.
yeah. I think that's one of the limitations that I have seen that are the worst ones, because for now, of course, I know the 8 seconds uh, in social media are a lot, but in a movie they are nothing. Like they're so. If you think about it, like that's as I said, like it's different. It's difficult to continue from the end that it's tops. From one video to another. So I think these gaps between two short videos, they need to figure out how to combine, the last frame to the next frame from the first frame from the second video. So this gap is kind of intriguing.
I think another problem with AI as well is that usually when you are generating a continuation of something, it doesn't build up from the last render, right? It basically renders it all again. It runs the prompt again. And
Yeah,
then because it does that, it loses some of the details that you had in the previous shot sometimes. And that is a problem with continuity, right? Because you cannot, if you're going from one place to the other or you need to film a sequence that it's maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds long, then you would need maybe three uh, 8 seconds or 4 8 seconds clips in a row, and that needs to be the same. It needs to maintain the same character. It needs to maintain the environment, and that is one
yeah,
of the problems these days. That you just usually it doesn't work. It doesn't happen, or it has some
yeah,
problems, and you have to do some workarounds. Maybe move the camera or to try to mitigate those things. But I guess
but
the speed that this is evolving, we're gonna get there.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, as I was about to say that in 2 years we passed through this from Will Smith eating pasta that it was like so weird to see to 8 seconds that are like super realistic. So I feel that it's gonna happen. Sometimes some days we're gonna have like 1 hour of fully generated movies that we can build up like the same sequence. So it's gonna happen.
1 hour we Will Smith eating pasta.
Yeah, that would be so nice to see.
That's basically how we measure the evolution of generative video, AI video generation today is the state of Will
Will
Smith
Smith.
eating pasta's realism.
Yeah, exactly. Or the rock hitting rocks. That's the same.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think one of the reasons, and I think we mentioned this already along the episode, is that we wanted to bring this case is because it's a lot more sustainable to work with AI this way in a collaborative way, right? So AI didn't replace anyone in this case, not at least directly. So, but at the same time, it empowered like a team of 200 people, and it enhanced or at least managed to help them maybe materialize some of their vision in different ways. And I think that's what makes this case quite interesting. And I hope the future for at least AI workflows in filmmaking and cinema is sustainable like that. Not, the extremes where it's only AI generated or is doesn't have AI at all.
Yeah, yeah. I feel that that's the future now. The future is the combination. It's the and yeah, I feel it's so nice that a really big director is using it and is enjoying it. Like in the beginning, as I said, like he said, like eight seconds there is not enough, but you see it in the video, like they figure out a way of making it happen, So I feel it's a good step for the industry to understand that it's not like just cutting out a lot of jobs and cutting out a lot of people, and it's just a new tool that is gonna help people to improve their work. Like VFX, probably there's a lot of people against VFX like 30 years ago, and saying like, oh, what are you doing? We're doing cinema. Cinema is art, and art is about people doing everything. So I feel that everything is gonna evolve, and art is one of the pathways. And yeah, so
But it's good. It's interesting that you brought VFX because I remember that transition, right? And then all of a sudden we went all in, and then there are some films. Even though the classic Star Wars, they were almost like 100%, like 95% CGI generated, and it doesn't age well because it's constrained to the resolution and to the advance of that CGI back then,
yeah,
and it's we kind of had to go all in to figure it out. Okay, this is maybe not the way to go. And then these days there are a lot of films, and then they feel just more real when you just use practical effects, right? Instead of just using CGI or AI, or yeah, not AI, but CGI visual effects. And I think we just need to find that balance. But if we looked at the past and analyze the past, we're gonna go the same route where a lot of things will be overly AI generated, and we're gonna figure that okay, this is not the way to go. Let's just tone it down a little bit,
yeah.
and then adjust.
And I think because of the propaganda, because of the marketing that the big techs are doing, like with AI, people are kind of scared to even try, or even sometimes they just, I need to work now because in the future I'm not gonna have a job. I don't know. So people are a bit scared of even trying, the tools, which is weird for me. Like, but I do understand, people are always afraid of changing, so that's one of the reasons. And but it is a tool. It's a powerful tool, so we have to learn it.
Yeah, I agree. So we're reaching the end of our episode. I think we're just wanted to bring this example as a sustainable model that Hollywood could adopt, for example, using AI to enhance like a production instead of replacing everybody and then just doing it all in AI. Um, yeah. Any closing thoughts?
No, if we just want to recommend people to watch it because it's like an 8 minutes movie, so it's not that long, and it's nice to see the combination between what we have right now and the new tools that are arising. So I hope people enjoy the movie as we enjoy it. So that's my final thoughts.
Awesome. That's it for today. Thank you for listening.